Right, so yeah, hi, I'm Colin McGregor-Patterson. Do apologise, I was going to be on a Zoom call and I could have done a live conversation with you. However, the timings just don't quite make it. I'm over on holiday in Australia and it's bank holiday tomorrow, so there's quite a few of us that are actually going out this afternoon and this evening, so there's no way I'm going to be able to make the Zoom. However, Jenny should be on the call and Jenny can answer any questions you may have. But I'd also like to make myself available possibly next week sometime, or you can email me if you've got any questions. But I'll leave my details at the end of this short video. But I figured it'd probably be best if I do a video, so then you've got kind of my ideas about the projects that then you can go away and do your marketing plan. And I'm kind of looking forward to meeting you guys on the 22nd of May when you're going to be presenting back to us apparently. So really this is the video, the two short briefs, which is the two projects that we're going to be working on through the Knowledge Transfer Partnership. I'm super excited about this opportunity. It's taken a few years to get to where we are, but we got our KTP Associates starting in 2 weeks' time, I think, which means we've got the project can really kind of get going. And obviously your help will be really helpful. There's a couple of things at the end of the video. I'm going to put a couple of different websites that you may look at. Some of them linked to harm reduction agenda. Some are linked to. I'll put a link to the Oasis Bucks YouTube site. And then we've got quite a few videos there. They're a bit amateurish, we're hoping that marketing students can help us improve our marketing and video production. But yeah, there'll be a few links so you can get to know kind of what Oasis is about and also what the One Recovery Bucks drug and alcohol service is about. That's the contract that we kind of work in partnership with the NHS in, but it's very much NHS led and NHS managed. They do a fantastic job. And we do some of the sort of more holistic kind of wraparound services. But you can read a lot about that on our website and on the One Recovery Bucks website. But also we're just about to renew our website because of the KTP starting and because of the idea that we need to be a bit more business focused. We have got a new website coming up. We're currently working on it at the moment. So any of your feedback and ideas at this time would be really beneficial and I'd appreciate it. But anyway, I'm just going to launch into the two projects really. So the first project I really want to work on is we've got a long-term plan to have a kind of harm reduction and recovery focused cafe in the high street. There's quite a few models around the country, around the world, of some really good kind of almost social impact kind of cafes that make a difference. I want to do a bit different from a community cafe. I want to employ ex-offenders. I want to employ people who are ex-service users. I want to possibly give opportunities to the homeless. And we kind of want to use it as a destination cafe. So during the day we want to kind of make money from the general public, from providing good quality food, good coffee, really nice environment, but also an environment where people can come and get some support, some help. It'll be very much kind of peer-led, volunteer-led. Ideally we'd have paid staff eventually. And the actual kind of opportunity we have at the moment is I've actually got two recovery harm reduction cafes based within the drug services at the moment. They're being used for One Recovery Bucks service users. We're trying to enhance the opportunities that we've got there to just really to make sure that service users have a community kind of opportunity to engage with others in similar situations to themselves, but also to build confidence, to gain skills and have a bit of a social aspect. And we've had some open mic nights, we've had music nights. There's lots of opportunity. COVID had a bit of an impact on that development, but now we're kind of back open. We've got, we're really looking at how we can enhance the space we've got to generate a bit of income, but also engage people. So fairly recently, this year, we started our Reconnect Cafe, which is a cafe event that's held once a month, funded through a very nice person who runs a charity shop, Nikki in Burnham. They fundraise for us, and I asked Nikki what she wanted us to do, and she said it'd be great if you could run sort of run a cafe night. So it fitted in with our kind of plans and model anyway. So once a month we have Reconnect Cafe, open to anyone who's using drugs, using alcohol, in harm reduction, any service users accessing One Recovery Buck service, and anyone in recovery. It's just a sort of open night, people can just sort of turn up. And this, I think we've had 4 now, and they've been pretty successful. They're getting busier, but they're also allowing us to engage people and connect them with something else that they may not have been engaged with before. And particularly some of the other services that Oasis provide independently from the drug and alcohol service, like our Building Futures employment programme. I won't talk about all the other projects because you can look at the website there, but this is really around the main pitch. So anyway, the cafes at the moment, like I said, we've got opportunities to try and engage more people. We also want to sort of perhaps hire out the space at weekends or in evenings when when the buildings aren't being used by the One Recovery Buck service. We actually held a launch event fairly recently on our Listen, Learn, Adapt minority ethnic research project that we launched. It's been a 2-year project, and we launched the actual project report in February. And the cafe was an ideal venue for hosting. It was a good kind of networking opportunity. You know, we've got a little kitchen there. We had a buffet. I'll show a little on the video at the end. I'll show a video of the evening or parts of the evening. But that's how we kind of want to generate a bit of income, to see whether there's an opportunity to then generate income from a high street cafe. That's the long-term plan. So it's about using our facilities that we've already got and seeing how they can develop. One thing we also have, which I'm really kind of proud of, and it's kind of proves that the pre-model works, is at the Bagnall project in Cheshire. Now that's our independent project that isn't linked to the drug and alcohol treatment service One Recovery Bucks, but it's our kind of anyway. Have a look at the website. You'll see what it's about. It's about us developing different opportunities for people. And we've opened up a pop-up cafe there, and to be fair, the pop-up cafe is probably the busiest. It's the hub of activity for Bagnall. It's led by Zoe, who is our social prescriber, and the social prescribing project is funded by the Rothschild Foundation. And social prescribing, again, I won't talk too much, but basically it's working with individuals, having a look at them, having a chat with them, seeing what support they might need, and either referring them into that support, or perhaps developing services ourselves that meet some of that need. So for example, we started a sewing circle, a really popular sewing circle, based on a few people coming down to the pop-up cafe and saying they like sewing. So Zoe's kind of set that up, and now it's quite a popular group, regular attenders each week. And that's quite exciting when you can kind of set up things that people want based on the fact of just coming down to our cafes. So that's why our cafes, the whole cafe kind of model is really key, and also just moving on and listening to people and setting things up. So you'll see on our website we have a range of different interventions. Our media launchpad, which is music, production, digital technology. It's a kind of growing project, but when we, as a provider, when we're running things, the fact that we can refer people who come to our cafes into some of these activities is brilliant. And again, it's kind of, you don't have to be a drug and alcohol user, so you may be lonely, isolated, bored, new to the area. The idea is to come down to the cafe, find out what's going on, and get engaged with other people. I really enjoy the fact that we can do this, and seeing the difference that we can make to people's lives is fantastic. And the cafe and the social prescribing model in Cheshire has been really good at engaging younger people as well as older people, which really falls in line with part of our early intervention and prevention model, where we would prefer to work with people before they become addicted to drugs and alcohol, and do that sort of early intervention. The thing is, early intervention isn't really funded very well, mainly because funding's needed for treatment. Understandably, we don't have an endless supply of money. However, what we really want to do is to generate our own income, which therefore means that we can run things like cafes, and we can afford buildings, we can afford rent, we can afford staff, so that then we can, we're not reliant on kind of the council to fund things. In this day and age, everyone's, money isn't available, so we need to generate money, which is why we firstly looked at the KTP as an opportunity, and working with Buxton University to develop that opportunity, which now leads me on to the second model, which is what I see as the sort of income generating model. And once we're generating income, we can then not only hopefully fund, say, like our cafe models, but we can also develop or fund or provide services that aren't currently funded. So, for example, youth counselling. I think many of our service users, had they had some youth counselling or some youth interventions or youth activities in their younger years, they may have been diverted from going down that kind of drug and alcohol pathway. And counselling is really key, but it is expensive. And if you've got young people having counselling, we do use student counsellors for our drug and alcohol support. They're fourth year students, but it allows them to get their hours. But when you're dealing with young people who have possibly had some pretty traumatic experiences, maybe domestic violence, abuse, bullying, there's a whole range of things that could impact on people's lives as they grow up into adults. So if we can kind of not necessarily nip it in the bud, but provide the right kind of support at the right time to people, then we can make a difference. But like I said, sometimes that isn't funded, so then we can. So that's why this model has been developed. So I'm now going to move on to the other model, which is at the moment it's called the second model is called our business engagement model. It's a kind of working title. I'm working with this very kind of innovative Dutchman, Floris, at the moment, who will hopefully who runs a business of coming up with names for other people's businesses. So, we really want quite a catchy name, something that kind of stands out from the crowd. Oasis. There's a lot of Oasises around. But your ideas as marketing students, you may come up with some really good ideas as part of your pitch for the project. But basically, the main sort of rationale for the project, we did start it. We piloted it. I think we started piloting the project in about 2014. But at the time, we didn't really have the funding, we didn't have the motivation, we didn't have the support to take that model further. We're really focused on kind of service delivery. But as we go forward, and realising that things are pretty tight in relation to funding, trust and foundations that we get donations from, there's a lot of competition for money. So that's why we've kind of really sort of fast-tracked this, not fast-tracked, but we've kind of, we're taking this model forward. And to be fair, we wouldn't be able to do this without the support of the KTP Associate and working with Bucks-New University, obviously funded by Innovate UK. Without this opportunity, we just don't have the capacity to do this. We've got the ideas, but it's about bringing in the research, the knowledge, the evidence, the information from academia that will help us hopefully develop this model. And I think I do think there is a need. I know there's a need because I've spoken to a lot of people. I've networked quite a lot. So this model is based on evidence and facts. And like I said, when we piloted the service several years ago, we generated about 5,000 turnover, but we just didn't have the capacity as a team or the funds to recruit someone to lead on the project. But basically it's around, the model's around sort of working with businesses and individuals under the kind of health and wellbeing umbrella. And we know employers have to look after their staff and basically have to look after the health and wellbeing of their staff, particularly after we've come through COVID and the issues that has caused on individuals and communities. I think they're really just starting to kind of show themselves, you know what I mean? But for example, alcohol-related deaths increased by 25% in 2020 or it would have been 2021. Now, alcohol-related deaths, that's a massive increase. I don't know whether there's research out there yet, whether that's specifically focused on COVID. Maybe some of that's the research you might be able to do for part of your presentation. But you could sort of, if I use a bit of stats, and stats are important because they give you the evidence and numbers. But so, for example, there's probably, we've probably got, most of the drug and alcohol service, One Recovery Bucks, rightly so, has to focus on treatment, and the majority of our service users are opiate users, or ex-opiate users, and they're on treatment programs such as methadone, or there's a range of different other sort of pharmacological interventions that service users can access to help reduce their heroin use. And probably maybe about and probably maybe about 25%, about 25% of our clients might be alcohol users, but really heavy dependent alcohol users that are kind of really causing damage to their health. So, and obviously we've only got so much capacity within the team, but going back to alcohol stats, so estimated that probably about 15% of people who need alcohol treatment are in treatment, and therefore about 85% of people who would need alcohol treatment aren't in treatment and possibly getting their help and support from elsewhere. Now that may be through AA, through peer support, through private medical interventions, but there still may be a lot of people that are just struggling and coping with alcohol problems in the workplace. Now, if you look at the stats, so let's say, I worked out that there's probably, if you base it on the percentages, there's probably about 6,000 people. If we've got 15% of people in treatment for alcohol, extrapolate that, expand it, and therefore there's probably about 6,000 people living in Bucks that are drinking at really dangerous, hazardous, harmful levels to their health. Now, if we look at the stats of the service users in treatment, probably about 50% of those in treatment are in employment, and about 50% of those people with alcohol problems aren't in employment. Now, if we put that back into the community and think there's probably 6,000 people who are kind of dependent, heavily drinking, and half that, we're probably looking at, let's say, 3,000 people aren't in alcohol treatment, aren't in employment, and then 3,000 people might be drinking at dangerous, hazardous levels, but they are in employment. Now, where do they get their help from? How do the HR teams manage to support them? So this is where our kind of model comes in, and it could be a sort of digitally based model, it could be a face-to-face model. There's a whole variable way of interventions that we can provide, or products that we can sort of sell businesses. But it is really sort of making sure that employers can take some responsibility and help their employees. Now, it also may not necessarily be necessary that the employee is drinking themselves, but it may be they've got a loved one drinking or using drugs. But generally, drinking's the bigger issue, I think, for sure. Or it may be their neighbour, or it may be their friends who are drinking heavily, and by raising awareness and them having knowledge of how to deal with drug and alcohol problems and what support's out there and what support might be needed, means that they can potentially help other people. Now, what we don't really want is a long waiting list on the free services that are provided by the council. If people are able to pay for some support, then I think our model is around trying to set that model up so that either employers may be able to pay for themselves, employees may be able to pay for themselves, or employers may have a employee assisted program where they can fund some levels of support. And there's a range of different options that could happen. Counselling is a really good opportunity, but counselling is not the only thing. It could just be a bit of key working, a bit of one-to-one support, maybe a bit of coaching. There's a whole range of different tools that would suit the individual. What we'd ideally do is identify the individual, go through them, like some assessment, see what options they may have, and then try and match them up with something that suits their particular need, want, their lifestyle. But it kind of does need to be, we do need to start addressing it. It's not only kind of like alcohol misuse. I mean, I think if you look in the city, and another kind of idea for you guys to sort of do some researching in is drug use in the city. Cocaine use is massive. It's a huge business. Unfortunately, it's in the hands of, it's an illegal business, obviously, but it's in the hands of criminals and organised crime gangs. I think in Wickham there was, just before Christmas, there was the organised crime gang that were arrested. I think I can't think of the figures off the top of my head at the moment, but millions and millions of pounds were coming in of heroin and crack cocaine were coming into Wickham and then being distributed. But anyway, that's I'm digressing there. So really, the stories around the model that we want you to sort of develop the marketing ideas on is around, how can we approach businesses? What businesses should we approach? I think our USP, our unique selling point. Our USP, our unique selling point, is the fact that we're making profit, but that profit then goes back into supporting other people with problems, Whereas, we haven't got shareholders that are making loads of money. This money is going back into supporting people. Now, supporting people with drug and alcohol problems, but we also want to do early intervention work, so particularly youth work, and generate some income so that we can provide some youth services. So again, think quite widely. I think when you do your research, there's a lot of information out there. Like I said, I'll put some links. There's harm reduction cafes, there's the recovery agenda. You could put in sort of drug and alcohol in the workforce, or cocaine use in the city. Just it's kind of over to you to kind of do that research and hopefully bring it back, because this is the very start of our KTP project, and I think the kind of long-term, well, it's a long-term plan, but the KTP project lasts 2 years, so we don't have to get it right from day one, but it's about having the information, the knowledge, the understanding, which you guys are hopefully going to help us with, that we can then build up and develop our model, which is kind of good. So part of your thing, I think, let me just go through my notes. I think part of your project plan is around a brand statement. So we kind of call that the elevator pitch. So imagine, I don't need to tell you that. You're marketing students, you'd know that. But if I was in an elevator for 2 minutes with someone going up, and they just say to me, "Right, what's your business model? What's the pitch?" What would I say? I've got some ideas. Like you said, you can look at our website, look at other charities' websites, other private healthcare websites. But it'd be good if you could come up with a kind of short brand statement. We are trying to reach the big companies, the companies that have got money, the companies that have got sort of issues. So I sort of said the city and cocaine use. Well, what about health and safety issues of being drunk at work or having a hangover at work and the day's missed? And there's a lot of information and content about those things. So again, part of your research project, I guess, as marketeers, you would be looking into some of these issues. So I think the other thing is, I'll keep focused on business. So this isn't really about the charity, and this isn't just expanding the charity. This is about having a business model that generates income that can help the charity. And keep that in mind, because people often think, oh, it's a charity, so we'll go down the charity route. What can they do? Well, they can do a bit better social media. They can do some more volunteer stuff. It's more than that. This is a proper business that we want to generate an income from. So get that sort of thinking in your head when you're doing the project. What are the key challenges we're trying to resolve? Well, we're trying to resolve people's drug and alcohol issues. We don't want people to have drug and alcohol issues. We want to reduce isolation. We want to reduce depression. We want to reduce mental health issues. It's a big ask, but we've got to start somewhere. And I think raising awareness in the workplace will have some positive consequences along the way. Who's our target audience? Well, there's a range of target audiences. Drug and alcohol is kind of across the board. There isn't like one particular section of society that uses drugs and alcohol. Particularly if you go back and try and understand, why do people become addicts? What happened in their childhood? Is it trauma related? There's a range of issues. People just don't choose to do drugs and alcohol. There's often something behind it, and those are some of the things that we want to kind of help in the future as a model. Help people identify some issues and make sure they've got the support behind them to kind of move forward, which hopefully they will have. And then what other things have you been asked? Who are the competitors? The Priories would be one of our competitors. I mean, if you heard the Priory, lots of singers keep going back into the Priory. I think Robbie Williams, I can't believe I mentioned Robbie Williams, but anyway, he's been in the Priory a few times. It's a sort of bit of a revolving door in a way. What you want is people to go into treatment, have the support they need, and not have to get treatment again. That's nothing on the Priory. The Priory gives some really, really good treatment and support. It's just the nature of the people who go through the Priory kind of thing. But yeah, I had to look at other private healthcare, other individuals who may be doing some sort of drug and alcohol support in the workplace. I think it's all about research. I've got lots of answers, and I've done some of the research myself, but this is around you guys doing your research, getting your project up, and then presenting to us. So that would be really good. Primary messaging, which is about what is the messaging we want to give, and how does that fit into our values. So our values are respect. We respect people as individuals, trust honest. We want to be honest. We want to treat people like we would like to be treated. We want to have services like we would. That I'd like to access services. I want to run services that I'm proud to access myself, and the sort of services that I'd send my own family to. Those are the services that we want. So it's about respect. And it's about respect to the individual as well, understanding where they're coming from and not preaching and practicing to them and telling them they have to stop. We understand that some people use drugs and they may not always use drugs, or some people use alcohol as a self-medication. It may be about abstinence, it may not be about abstinence. It's about what suits that individual. So that's about respecting people's own decisions and own choices and how we can support that. Innovation is one of our other values, and that's really around we've always got to innovate. If we just didn't think about new things and new services and doing things differently, we'd stay where we are. And this is a complex world with the digital, with the social media, so kind of having, being innovative. And I think the Knowledge Transfer Partnership gives us a fantastic opportunity to be innovative, because we've got the academics, we've got the researchers, we've got access to students. How can we be as innovative as possible to kind of just move forward and be a sustainable charity? It is tough out there. There are a lot of charities, to be fair, but we're very, we've got a vision, we know where we want to get to, and by engaging with you guys, that'll be really helpful. So that's why we want to be innovative. And I think, the digital stuff, I think, there's a lot of opportunities to be innovative in the digital world, for sure, particularly around drug and alcohol treatment. Trust is one of our other values. We trust the people we work with. We want to trust our service users. We trust the people we work with. We want to trust our service users. We want to trust the businesses we work with. And excellence is our final value. And excellence is really around continuous learning. It's about learning from your mistakes, not making those mistakes again, building on them. There's lots and lots of kind of research and evidence coming out around changing sort of issues that are happening. I won't go off on a tangent, but that's it. So excellent. So when you think about primary messaging, our values are respect, innovation, innovative, trust and excellence. So how might our values be pitched to various businesses? And I'm guessing those businesses are there could be a range of different businesses. You might think, particularly at the moment, there's with HS2 being built in Buckinghamshire, there's a big issue around security guards, recruitment security guards. So there's lots of opportunities for employment opportunities, as well as, but obviously, anyway, I'm not going off on a tangent. I'm also looking at the time, so I'm just going to wind up this particular video. I want to sort of turn it into a YouTube video, so you've got a bit of pictures as well. Like I said, I'd really appreciate if you've got any questions. Do come back to me. I can come into uni, or you can send us an email. Or Jenny, like I said, Jenny's on the call, so after any questions there. I think I've kind of covered the models. Those are two models, and I guess as marketers, you may not always get a clear pitch from someone, but you've got to come up with the plan. So, like I said, so it's been apologies for not being able to be on the Zoom. Hopefully this brief video will help, and I really, this is the start of a 2-year partnership between Oasis and BNU University. So hopefully you can watch what's happening, or you can get involved again. This is a great opportunity, and thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you all on the 22nd with your presentations. Thank you.